After the long wait, we finally have Blade in Marvel Rivals, but before you jump in on August the 8th, here's 10 tips on how to actually play him to rank up and to unlock Blade's awesome Lord icon. First up is his shotgun mechanic. This is most likely going to confuse you when first playing him because it doesn't work like a traditional shotgun. When playing Blade and using his gun, you want to always avoid being up close to an enemy. This is because the shotgun won't do maximum damage that way. To maximize your damage output, keep a distance of 8 to 10 meters from you and your enemy, and you'll see a massive damage output per shot. This is because the shotgun works where the projectile travels for more than 8 meters, it expands into a wide spread, meaning being up close to an enemy like Punisher maybe won't do the most amount of damage. In fact, it'll probably do half the damage and you'll end up dying. So if you're in a sticky situation, whipping out your sword is probably the best solution up close. The second tip is how you should engage as Blade. Blade is a duelist, meaning he's there to create that first engagement and eliminate the most number of players. However, his ancestral sword on its own isn't very effective. You have a very slow movement speed without any of your abilities, and the damage output is minimal. To increase the amount of duels you win with other players, start off by landing a few shots with your shotgun, and once they're at half health, you want to enable your Bloodline Awakening. This is going to increase your slash speed and movement speed, and then you want to use your dash to leap towards the enemy. This is going to quickly eliminate the enemy, and any incoming damage that you took from leaping towards the enemy will be gone, since in Awakening mode, Blade receives lifesteal, which heals him for dealing damage. Then finally, if you need to, you can use your dash to dash back to safety. Number 3 is your resource bar. When in Awakening mode, you should know that that resource bar doesn't just hold for a couple of seconds like Emma Frost's diamond resource bar does. With Blade, you need to be constantly slashing enemies with his sword in order to keep the increased slash rate. Stopping for even a second is going to immediately begin to decrease the bar. So make sure when playing him not to mix it up with the same function as Emma Frost. Number 4 is actually a secret ability that the devs didn't tell us about. Within Blade's description, it mentions the increased movement speed and slash rate for Awakening mode. However, it doesn't mention that recently hit enemies can be viewed behind walls. This is extremely useful if you are low on health and retreating back to safety. You just look in the direction that you came from and you can ping nearby enemies that you slashed. It looks like there isn't a limit on this. As you can see here, I have 3 enemies highlighted. You can only do this in Awakening mode, meaning the hits have to be done using a sword and the player has to be on low health. Number 5 is his dash. When using Blade's dash ability, if you're not going for the anti-heal, you want to pair it with Awakening mode, since dashing with this mode on will increase your bar halfway, making it easier to hit that maximum dash speed. Personally, I found the best way to get the edge over your enemies is to dash from above down onto an enemy. Most of the time, enemies are looking straight ahead rather than above. Dashing into an enemy from above means that most of the time you can get the edge since you'll be out of your enemy's view. Additionally, I'd recommend using the dash to get out of fights as much as you use it to get into them. Using it to quickly get to a health pack comes in real clutch, or if you have that cloak and dagger team up, it means you can dash into a corner. Then you just pop the ability and get some quick heals. And speaking of the team up, there's actually a tip for that as well. Number 6 is Swift Strike. While you're using the cloak and dagger team up, if you're in the radius of it, you'll have the option to Swift Strike an enemy as long as they are around 20 meters away from you. The Swift Strike allows Blade to pounce on an enemy, dealing a moderate amount of damage. Now, once you've been healed, use your Awakening mode, then Swift Strike to the enemy and finish them with a dash if needed. But you'll want to know that there is a very small delay between the strike and the dash. Number 7 is your ultimate charge range. When you're charging up your ultimate, you don't actually need to wait until the very end to get the max range on your ult. If you slash 1 second after activating the ultimate, so about halfway, you'll get the same range as letting the charge meter end. However, activating the charge before the halfway mark leads to a decrease in range, so you won't hit your enemy. If you're using the ultimate from high ground, a red box is going to appear telling you where the slashes will hit. Number 8 is using your ultimate versus supports. The best place to use Blade's ultimate is definitely when a support is using theirs. The initial slash is going to deal a moderate amount of damage and applies reduced healing, and the slashes that follow up also apply reduced healing, allowing Blade to shred through ultimates like Luna Snow's, Loki's Lanterns, Rocket's ultimate, and Sue Storm's ultimate. Number 9 is Blade's Parry. Using Blade's Scarlet Shroud is a super powerful tool. You'll be able to block incoming damage for a certain amount of time using it. I found this super useful so that when you dash out of an area, any attempted fire at you while escaping can be absorbed by the Scarlet Shroud, which will also decrease your dash cooldown, allowing you to escape even further. And finally, number 10 is Blade's second secret ability. When using Scarlet Shroud for a very short amount of time, Blade becomes CC immune, meaning he's able to block attacks that displace his movement. So if you see an enemy coming at you, pull out your sword, you can parry their attack, meaning that you won't just be sent up in the air. This even applies to things
Just
like
right when the
aim
whale
or
hits.
ult if you time it just right. Anyways, guys, those are our 10 tips for playing Blade. Hopefully you found something useful, and honestly, I can't wait for everyone else to play Blade. It's been super fun having so many new heroes added, especially now that we're on those monthly rotations, and it seems like we might be getting Daredevil or even Angela soon, but more on that in another video. I'll catch you later.